It's too late. I'm too old. There's not enough time left. Hello everyone. If this is your first time on the channel, please make sure to subscribe. And if you're new here, welcome back. Have you ever had that voice in your head telling you that it's too late to learn how to play the guitar, too late to learn a new language, too late to create a blog, or too late to start a business? This is called time anxiety, and the amount of things we don't do because of it is crazy. I'll give you a personal example. 10 years ago, I was working at Google and I was helping the YouTube team organize an event for YouTubers, which was called VidCon. It was literally the biggest event for YouTubers and their fans. YouTubers were giving talks, signing autographs, and generally connecting with their audience. It was thousands of people under one roof, a celebration of YouTube as a platform and a community. And I had a seat in the front row. I had everything in front of me 10 years ago to see how exciting YouTube could be. But I didn't start a YouTube channel. Why? Time anxiety. I looked at all of these YouTubers and most of them had started their channels when they were 14 or 15 or 16. And at the time I thought, well, this is too late. There's no point in starting now. This is how time anxiety works. Because we demand that the way we spend our time is meaningful, we decide to not start on projects when we think that we don't have enough time, that it's too late, or that we missed the boat. Well, as you can see today, I finally came around and I realized that I was wrong and I started my YouTube channel. But I lost 10 years in the process. The term time anxiety was coined by Dr. Alex Lickerman, who explained that it comes from the following questions. Am I creating the greatest amount of value with my life that I can? Will I feel, when it comes my time to die, that I spend too much of my time frivolously? It's important to understand that time anxiety doesn't mean that you think that there is a higher entity that is giving purpose to your life. But rather, it means that you are placing a lot of the meaning in your life into the value that you are producing. As a result, you think, too late to start? I'd rather not start at all. It may seem paradoxical, but by trying to over-optimize our lives in this way, we are actually reducing the amount of value and meaning that we can bring into our lives. Beating time anxiety means expanding your perception of possible. It means stopping having all of these artificial barriers that you're creating for yourself and remembering that as long as you're alive today, there is literally no reason not to start something new. Instead of focusing on the outcomes like having 1 million YouTube subscribers, because that does take a long time, or having a massive newsletter or being completely fluent in a new language, it's about focusing on your output. Publishing your first video on YouTube, writing your first blog post, learning your first few words in this language that you want to learn. Everyone you're looking at who's more advanced than you are had to start from scratch at some point. It's the same for everyone. And it doesn't mean that because someone today is more advanced than you in their journey, you can't start your own journey as well. They say that all good things come in threes. Well, time anxiety is not that good, but it also comes in 3 different forms. Current, future, and existential time anxiety. Current time anxiety is the daily feeling of being rushed, of not having enough time to complete all of your tasks, which sometimes makes you feel a little bit panicky. Lots of people who struggle with current time anxiety also sometimes have panic attacks. The second one is future time anxiety. Future time anxiety is all of the what if questions that you have about the future. It's a lot of worrying about what will happen tomorrow or in 1 year or in 5 years. We worry so much about the future that we don't have enough mental space left to think about the present. And finally, existential time anxiety. Existential time anxiety is probably the hardest to deal with because it's about having the sensation of seeing time float away to never come back again. It's very common to have existential time anxiety when we think about death. So how do you manage time anxiety? Well, the first thing to do is to remember the nature of time. Time moves forward, never backward. There's nothing you can do about that, and it's the same for absolutely everyone, at least in our universe. This feels like a basic truth, but we are constantly trying to run away from it. Accepting that time moves forward, never backward, and that you're never going to get it back is the first step in dealing with time anxiety. I'm sure you're like, well, this is really negative. How is that helping me? Well, it's really important to internalize that idea because this way you will really know that everything that has happened. That's fine. What will happen will happen. The only time you're in control of is the present, and it's the decisions you're taking today that will influence where you are in the future. So you have to act today as a gift to your future self. This is all pretty philosophical, so let's get a little bit more practical here. There are 3 things that you can do to deal with time anxiety in a more practical way. First, you need to define what does time well spent means to you. By time well spent, I don't mean the transactional definition of well spent. I don't mean time that you can spend today that's going to be useful to your future self. No. What I mean is, what are the ways to spend your time that are enjoyable to you, that get you in the flow, and that make you happy today, in the present, regardless of the future outcome. Dealing with time anxiety is about shifting your focus from outcomes you can control to outputs you can control. Instead of thinking about how big your YouTube channel could be, how popular your blog could be, or how bilingual you could be in a few years, think about how enjoyable the process of learning and growing and creating is. Don't think about how happy it would make you if you were to publish a book. Ask yourself, do I really enjoy writing? Don't think about how you're going to be so proud of completing a marathon. Ask yourself, do I really like running? And try to be as honest as possible with yourself. Now that you've defined what time well spent means to you, the second step is to actually make time for these moments. Just go to your calendar, open it, look at it, and again, be honest with yourself. Is there enough time during the week to dedicate to these activities that intrinsically make you happy? As you go about your week, it's okay if sometimes life happens and you just don't have as much time as you expected to dedicate to these activities. But it's really about trying, about being conscious and aware of your schedule and the way you spend your time in general. As the prolific writer Maria Edwards said, if you take care of the moments, the years will take care of themselves. And finally, try to cut out useless distractions. It's completely okay from time to time to be scrolling on Twitter or Instagram, but sometimes it can make time anxiety worse because you're looking back and thinking about all of this time that you wasted. Try to replace some of these distractions with things that are a bit more creative or make you happier. That could be just hanging out with friends, watching a really good movie, writing, learning how to design, practicing a new instrument, studying a new language. It really doesn't matter, but try to make sure that you don't spend too much time on distracting activities that are going to make you feel worse when it comes to your time anxiety. I just want to be honest here, I still struggle with time anxiety all the time, but being aware of what it is and how to manage it makes it a little easier to deal with. For example, I went back to school in my late 20s to study neuroscience, I'm writing a book, and I recently started learning a new instrument. All things I thought were too late to start. It's okay if you still feel that deep anxiety when you think about death, about the fact that time only moves forward and not backward, and that you're never going to get the minutes you spent today back. But instead of making it a depressing feeling, try to channel these ideas to make you act today, to be more productive, more creative, to spend more time with the people you love. The fact that we have so little time and that we can never get it back can actually be a driving factor to help us achieve more. Squishy, squishy!